My husband has reached the point of demanding that I just do an immediate surrender, regardless of the shelter status. I have begged him to give me time to find a safe home. I feel like I owe her a safe home. He has threatened to take her in himself. Today he told me I care more for a cat than our baby and said I need to choose between the cat and him. I told him I can't love him. If he forces that choice, the marriage will end. Tough for this. I just don't want the cat to die. My pregnancy has been tough on my oldest cat. She's been acting strangely, like she's stressed out by all the changes. She's been having accidents outside her litter box, eating things she shouldn't, and even picking fights with my husband and the other cats. We've tried everything to help her feel better: special litter boxes, calming sprays, yummy treats, and more. We've followed all the advice from cat experts, but it hasn't made much of a difference. Unfortunately, my husband hasn't been very helpful. He gets frustrated and punishes her when she misbehaves, which I don't think is the right approach. I'm sticking to the behavioral techniques that experts recommend. At first, my husband agreed to let me decide what's best for my cat, considering our long history together. I held on to hope that she'd adjust to the new situation, but unfortunately, things didn't improve. Eventually, I realized that finding her a new, peaceful home would be the best solution. I'm currently working to rehome her through online platforms, message boards, and local no-kill shelters. I want to ensure her safety and avoid taking her to the nearby shelter that euthanizes animals, as I fear they might put her down immediately due to her age. I'm determined to find her a calm and loving home where she can thrive. My husband is now insisting that I surrender my cat immediately, regardless of the shelter's policies. I've pleaded with him to give me more time to find a safe and loving home for her. I feel a deep responsibility to ensure her well-being. However, he's threatening to take matters into his own hands and surrender her himself. Today, he hurtfully said that I care more about the cat than our unborn child and demanded that I choose between them. I stood firm, telling him that if he forces me to make that choice, it would mean the end of our marriage. I simply cannot bear the thought of my beloved cat being harmed. Am I wrong for prioritizing her safety? Story 2. I have a couple of stories that might not be as hilarious as others, but they're still worth sharing. I was shopping at Walmart, browsing the soda section, when a drunk man stumbled into the aisle. He was clearly intoxicated, and to my shock, he pulled out his private part, grabbed onto the shelves, and urinated all over the soda cases on the floor. He was so drunk that I doubt he even knew where he was or what he was doing. There were many people in the aisle at the time, and it was a pretty disturbing sight. I reported the incident to the service desk, but they seemed completely unfazed, like it was just another normal day at Walmart. After that, I never bought soda from that store again. This really happened to me. A couple of weeks ago, I was driving back home to San Diego from Texas. It was my third long trip in my car in just a few weeks. Along the way, I passed through several border checkpoints near the Mexican border, which I'd done many times before. It was around 4 a.m. and I was driving through the dark desert in western Texas when suddenly a white flash appeared out of nowhere on my left side and slammed into my car with a loud thud. It was too small to be a deer, but it was definitely some kind of animal. I didn't stop until I found a safe place to pull over about 50 miles later. When I got out to investigate with a flashlight, I expected to see damage to the side of my car, but all I saw was a thick layer of mud covering the entire left side. Something strange happened. It started raining heavily in the desert, which never gets rain. The rain washed away the mud, revealing. After a long delay, I was finally allowed to continue my journey. I drove all the way to western Arizona, stopped for gas, and that's when I made a shocking discovery. On the floorboard of my car, on the driver's side, I saw a bunch of half-burned pot seeds and flakes. I was stunned. I had bought that car brand new just the year before, and I knew I had never had any pot in it. Then, I realized what must have happened. Where I park my car behind my apartment building, there are often people hanging out, drinking beer and smoking pot. I've seen roaches on the ground and even a homemade pipe left behind. I must have unknowingly picked up some of their leftovers on my shoes and brought them into my car. I started to panic, realizing how close I had come to getting in trouble. I knew there were still 1 or 2 more checkpoints to go through before I got home, so I took action. It took me an hour to find a car wash and vacuum out my car, wipe down the interior, and freshen it up with a new Pine Tree air freshener. I was determined to leave any trace of that incident behind. Sure enough, I approached another border checkpoint in the mountains at night. My heart was racing, but luckily, the officers waved me through without stopping me. I breathed a sigh of relief and felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude to finally be home safe and sound. It was a huge relief to have made it through that ordeal without any further incidents. Here's another story from my college days in Missouri. My friends were either into drama or computer science. One of my friend's roommates was gay, and so was our drama teacher, which wasn't a surprise. Even though we lived in a small, conservative town in the Midwest, I never had a problem with it. I thought nothing of it, especially since my friend was straight and they were roommates. One weekend, he asked me to tag along with him to check on the drama teacher's house. The teacher was out of town, and my friend wanted to make sure everything was okay. He didn't want to go alone at night, so I agreed to join him. We arrived at the house and everything seemed fine. But then, out of nowhere, my friend pulled out an empty wine bottle and did something that shocked me. He lay down on the living room floor, exposed himself, and started to engage in a personal and intimate act. I quickly retreated to the kitchen, feeling uncomfortable and not wanting to watch. I had many gay friends, but I didn't share the same preferences. My friend seemed disappointed that I wasn't interested in joining him, but I just wasn't comfortable with the situation. If the circumstances were different, with someone I was attracted to, the night might have gone in a different direction. But in this moment, I just wanted to distance myself and leave. Okay, last story, I promise. My 2 best friends and I have been looking out for our friend Gene for years. Gene is a harmless guy, not a troublemaker, but he's definitely a bit eccentric. Everywhere we go, he's convinced that the mafia is after him. He thinks he knows some secret about them and that they're following him everywhere. It's become a running joke among us. Whenever we take him out for lunch, he's always looking over his shoulder, pointing out someone and whispering that they just gave him a secret mafia signal. This has been going on for over 20 years now. We're still not sure what Gene thinks he knows about the mafia, but we just humor him and buy him another cup of coffee. It's become a fun ritual, and we enjoy taking care of our quirky friend Gene.